Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtedar Khan, your host, and today I'm going to talk to you about two things. Number one, I'm going to talk about this interesting news that has come from World Bank. In fact, it is actually very good news that India is one of the most equal countries in the world. In fact, India is ranked number fourth when it comes to inequality. The measurement that is being used is Gini index, and this index is very interesting. If it is zero, that means it's completely equal. So if everybody, so let's say that everybody has the same income, same amount of wealth, like a purely 100% socialist dream come true, then that is a zero. And the higher the Gini index goes, the more unequal the country is. So the distribution of wealth. So this is a measurement of the distribution of wealth in a society. So the good news is that India has since 2011 rapidly become a more equal country, and this is an interesting development because there was so much of accusations against India that wealth that was being generated, all this India's GDP growth rate at 6%, 6.5%, 8%, all of this income was going into the hands of a few billionaires, and the rest of the population was remaining poor, and there was no real growth in wages or quality of life, etc. So while the news is good, it is not like an incredibly great news about the economy as a whole. So let me unpack it for you as to what it really means, and I'll show you some historical data and see how India has done in the past few years, and comparatively also. And there are some problems with the data itself with World Bank, and I will share that with you. The second thing that I want to talk about is basically the prospects of a bilateral trade agreement between the United States and India. The chances are that there may not be a deal in time for July 9th, when reciprocal tariffs are supposed to kick in. There is talk of a small mini deal. Already, we can see some statements coming out of India's Commerce Minister, Mr. Piyush Goyal, who made statements just yesterday to Indian media saying deadlines don't matter. What really matters is protecting our national interest. So I found that very interesting. So to me, that was very interesting to see that there seems to be an already an acknowledgement from India that perhaps there will not be a comprehensive trade agreement by July 9th, even though India has been one of the earliest to come to the negotiating table. India didn't just come to the negotiating table. India came with gifts. It had already reduced tariffs on some items, including luxury cars, etc., from 150 to 70, etc. So we will see about that. I was just listening to Scott Bessent, the Commerce Secretary, and he was basically implied that the Donald Trump has shifted the deadline from July 9th to August 1st. So there is additional 21 days for countries to finalize the trade agreement. So we'll talk about both of these issues. Then I will take your questions and read your comments subsequently. So let's begin with this announcement. I mean, clearly, people in India are absolutely thrilled, especially uh, with those who are in charge of the government. They are touting this huge achievement. And as you can see, there are all these memes and posters floating around. India's big leap towards income equality. India ranks fourth in income equality globally, etc. World Bank has confirmed that India has better income equality than G7 and G20, etc. So yes, there is no doubt about it. I will show you the ranking in a second, and you will see that India is indeed number fourth. So there are several categories, and only three countries are in the category where they say the income inequality is the best. India is in that quadrant, which is says moderate income inequality. So So these are the memes that you must be seeing on social media, etc. So I just wanted to share them with you. And here is part of the ranking that you can see. So low inequality is in only three countries, which is Slovakia, Slovenia, and Belarus. So all of these countries, all three of them, have less than 25 Gini index. So the closer you are to zero, the better it is. Or I don't want to say better because I don't necessarily think that income inequality alone will explain the health of an economy, as you will see from these indices. So anyway, what it tells you is that the income inequality is at the lowest for these three countries: Slovakia, Slovenia, Belarus. And then moderately low inequality is in 30 countries, and of that, India is at number 4 with 25.5. And then it's Ukraine, war-torn Ukraine, devastated by war, is in the fifth spot. Netherlands, a relatively rich country, and then you have Moldova, another Eastern European country, and then the biggest of all surprises for me was United Arab Emirates, which is also in the same quadrant as for income. Uh, I mean, apparently there is very little income inequality. I wonder whether, when they are calculating this, whether they include everybody who lives in UAE or the data includes only citizens of UAE. I am not aware or sure of that, because there is huge income inequality among the rulers of, say, UAE and their family members and business owners, and the poor foreign laborers which come there and live uh, in terrible conditions, some of them actually, many living in one apartment and so on and so forth. So to me, that was also a big surprise. But there's something strange about this. So, for example, Syrian Arab Republic is considered very close to India in terms of income distribution, but the country is completely destroyed by civil war in the past 14, 15 years. It is just recovering from it. And that to their new president actually comes from one of the, he's a former Al Qaeda supporter. So the point that I'm trying to make is this one indicator alone does not really make it tell you that it is a great economy. It just says that the distribution. These are all countries which come from socialist background. So Slovakia, Slovenia, Belarus are former Soviet Union. So what basically this tells you is that India ranking fourth says that India, in spite of Narendra Modi's government, which is right-wing, India still is a socialist country. In fact, it was amusing to me that just 3 or 4 days ago, a senior member of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, the RSS person, wanted to remove socialist and secular from the Indian constitution. He was saying that these have been inserted by Indira Gandhi after emergency, and so he wants to remove both the word socialist as well as secular from the Indian preamble of the Indian constitution, because he thinks that India is not a socialist and is not a secular country and should not be so. But right now, today, as of now, the right-wing government of India is taking a lot of pride in the fact that it has very good income distribution. Uh, uh, and the reasons for the income distribution are obvious. It's the Labharti programs feeding 80 crore people who are otherwise either exploitative or would die of hunger. And then all these Labhati programs where women are given free bus rides. There's direct transfer of money to people, 1,500 rupees a month, 2,100. There are different states have different programs. And all states, regardless of which government is power, is now directly distributing benefits to people using their electronic disposal systems. Everybody has an bank account, and so they're getting direct deposits in their account. In many states, buses are free, travel is free. So there is a tremendous redistribution of wealth going on by the state in India. So taxation are high, even though there was some relief given to people who made certain amount of money in the 2024-25 budget. But basically, the taxation is high for middle and upper middle class people. There's a lot of loan forgiveness for the very rich, but there is also a lot of wealth distribution. So states are borrowing money. Very soon, some states will go bankrupt in India, or they will be in financial trouble. I will do a show at some point on just states which are providing a lot of Labharti programs or welfare programs in exchange for votes, essentially. So political parties are basically buying votes and borrowing money to provide the benefits that they are promising in elections. I want you to see this video, and in this video, I'm going to show you something about the data that the World Bank. So this is the World Bank report from straight from the World Bank's website, which will tell you from where this all this Gini index related reporting has come. And you'll be surprised to see. I want you to see the dates on the countries. Let me increase the size of this for your. And then you can see that. So look at this. This is just a screen recording. So the data for South Africa is 2014, 2015, 2016. So the World Bank report on income distribution for some countries like China, for example, I think it has 2020 data or 2021. For India, it has 2022 data, not 3, 4, or current data. So, I mean, look at the years 2014, 15, 16. So I don't know what to make of this data. They are, if an undergraduate student of mine submitted a paper with such data, I would probably give them a C or a D. And the best way to compare data is for the same year. If you can't get it for the same year, then go buy the one for which it's available. So fine, you don't have data for all countries for 2024. All right, we'll go back to 2022, which is already, there's a lot of change in the last 3 years in that. For example, India went from being sixth biggest economy to fourth biggest economy in between those 3-4 years. So I think that one thing that people who are very excited about this data should keep in mind, that for many countries, some of them are very bad shape, like Syria, for example. Just having a equal distribution of wealth doesn't really mean anything about the quality of life. So the better indices obviously are GDP per capita, which tells you how rich or poor these countries are. And it also is the Human Development Index, which I think is more important than anything else. But I also want you to take a look at this particular chart, which is very important. And you can see this. So if you look at this particular chart, this is the data from the same World Bank data report about India's Gini index. So the current spot is India is here at 20 based on 2022 data. It's at 25.5%. That is where India is ranked fourth. But if you look at it, there's not much decline. If you look at 1977, all right, so that's 13 plus 24, that's 37. This is the data they have. They don't have data prior 1977. So if you look at 1977, India was still in the same box. Its wealth distribution was at 29, the Gini index. So it would be in the same box in the second category of moderate income inequality. And then it went down in 1990, and then it went up a little bit because of liberalization. It went all the way up to 2010 is when it was around 32. And then you see a steep fall. The best income distribution within 2 years is from 2010 to 2011. This is where the huge drop, and then steady decline in income inequality. And this is where all the Labharti programs, etc., started happening, and government basically was buying votes by giving free food, making free houses, making toilets for people. So yes, there is development, but there is also wealth distribution. These are all very socialist policies. So that's why I keep saying people are rhetorically right wing in India, but the economy is completely socialist. India is the fourth best welfare state in the world because it is distributing its wealth. I mean, if Karl Marx was alive today, he would be so thrilled and say, "Oh my God, India is the biggest democracy and the biggest, fourth, fifth biggest economy in the world, and it has the fourth best distribution of wealth. Wow, this is a socialist dream come true." So this is an important chart, and I guarantee you nobody is showing you this data at all. I want to show you one more interesting thing before I move on to the tariffs, and that is uh, this. I want to show what is called as wealth pyramids. Uh, Wealth pyramids, and this is the wealth pyramid. Okay, India's wealth pyramid. The developing nation has. So if you look at the wealth pyramid, uh, uh, this is another way of showing you wealth distribution in the country. And now you will understand when you look at this as to why we have very rich people in India and then a lot of very poor people. And that's why the Gini index looks the way it does. Okay. So if you look at the top yellow, according to that, there are about 1,790 people in India whose net worth is more than $100 million. That's a bloody rich person. Okay, I don't know how many billionaires are there in India. India is the third largest producer of billionaires after the US and China. Uh, but there are close to 1,790 people whose net worth is worth $100 million. And then you have 4,460 people who have wealth which is above $50 million. So you can say that there are 4,400 and so about 6,200 people who have more than 50 million and above. And then you have suddenly you drop from 50 million to 1 million. And then you have about 750,000 people. So about 7.5 lakh people who are millionaires in dollars in India. Uh, so that is very interesting that there are. So you could look, if you look at all of this, you can say that there are about 760,000 people in India. I'm adding all the top three categories. So about 760,000 people, around 7.5 lakh people who are dollar millionaires in India. Dollar millionaires would be what, 85. So a million is, okay, about 8.5 crores or something like that. Net worth would have to be around 8.5 crore rupees. But then you look at people who have only $100,000, that is around 14.84. So 15 million people. So if you take the one who are in the red category, the 15 million, and then 1 million above. So there are 16 million people in India whose net worth is above $100,000. That is $1 lakh, which would be 85 lakh rupees. So they are not even crorepati's, but let's say that there are 16 million crorepati's in India, people who have 1 crore rupees. But then you have 1,345 million people who make less than $100,000. And it is because of this large segment that you seem to have equal distribution of wealth because they're all equally poor. And that is the more worrisome for us, that there is, because the very rich in India are so small in number, which is just 16 million. Yes, in absolute numbers, it's big. Okay, it's like saying 16 million is more than Netherlands population. 16 million. So if you just take these 16 million people, then it'll be better off than even maybe Finland and other countries in the world. Many European countries, those 16 million Indians. But then you have 1.3 and a half billion people who live in a really very poor circumstances. So the reason why India's Gini index is showing that the country is roughly the same kind of distribution that it had in 1977 until now is because a large number of the population is poor, and not because a large number of people became rich. Yes, people came out of absolute poverty, but if you moved out of from $2 a day, which is about 60 rupees, $60 a day, to $200 a day, which is what people are making, 200 to $250. It doesn't mean that you become rich, right? So that is the 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 insights that I would like to share. That yes, India is still a socialist country. It has one of the best distribution of wealth. So all the right wing rhetoric in India, keep it aside. India is a socialist country, even though it is poor. So that is why it is very, very interesting. Now I want to go to the other aspect of the couple of things that I want to share with regard to what is happening. So Piyush Goyal yesterday or day before yesterday uh, gave this statement saying that we don't make trade deals based on deadlines and schedules, and we do that based on our national interests. National interest is sacred. We will not compromise national interest. So basically, he has signaled that the India-US deal is not going to be finalized by July 9th, which is just 3 days away. So that's the first takeaway from that particular statement. Donald Trump has been saying we are close, we are close, we are close, but we have not heard any finalization so far. The United States has actually done only three kind of agreements. One is with UK, one is with China, and one is with Vietnam. The Vietnam's is the most developed trade agreement. The one with China is a broad framework agreement, which was driven by the US necessity to have access for critical minerals. So there are the only three deals. And if you remember, Howard Lutnick was constantly bragging about how the US was going to get 90 agreements in 90 days. Well, 90 days are 3 days away. So Scott Bessent, the Commerce Secretary, was on CNN this morning, and he said that this is what he said on Friday. So that is around 9th of September, I think. Yeah, is it 9th? Today is 6th. So by Friday, which will be 11th of September, July, letters are going to go out to 100 countries saying that if you do not finalize the deal, then from 1st of August, the same tariffs will be applied, which were declared in April. So if India doesn't get a deal by August 1st, not July 9th. So basically, they have moved the deadline from July 9th to August 1st, but they're not acknowledging that they have moved the deadline, which is kind of silly. But nevertheless, so first thing that I want to announce is the deadline has moved. The deadline has moved from uh, July 9th to August 1st. So that's good news, which means that there are still 22 days available for the deal to be finalized between India and US. So maybe they won't have a deal by July 9th. They may have a deal by August 1st. So that's a good news. The second thing is that there is a possibility that there will be a mini deal discussed, and we will see what happens. The scenario for India is not as bad as it is for others because the tariffs which are going to kick in, reciprocal tariffs for India, is only 26%. So Indians are thinking we are still going to be better off compared to everybody. And China's deal after the negotiations, etc., is China is at 55%. So since China is the biggest competitor for the US, so the India, even if it doesn't get anything, it is still at half the rate that China is going to be. So maybe that is why India is not willing to move faster and make concessions, because the consequences are not that bad at 26%. For other countries, it was terrible. For example, Vietnam would have been stuck with 46% tariffs, and so for their own country's manufactured goods, a deal brought it down from 46% to 20%. Everybody is going to get 10% flat. There's no doubt about it. So if you're getting a 20% deal, this is fantastic, which means that you're paying only 10% extra, because everybody is going to be paying 10% tariffs. Even India will. Trump's not going to give zero, and if it does, it's going to create a lot of unhappiness with lots of other people. So that's one reason. The other reason why I think that the deal is becoming very complicated is because India has gone to the World Trade Organization and has informed the WTO that India is going to impose reciprocal tariffs on auto parts, etc., on the United States. Uh, and that is a hardening of India's position, and it could upset Donald Trump. And we will see how he retaliates or he responds to India raising tariffs on auto parts, etc. So that is one shows that there is some kind of a hardening of positions between India and that. The issue broadly is, as far as the U.S. is concerned, is the agricultural and dairy products, and that is where I want to share some data with you all on the dairy products, etc. But I do want to go back to this uh, uh, criteria of rankings. I wanted to show you something uh, uh, because people are so happy with the World Bank data about income inequality. I do want to show them something else, and this is the data on global hunger. And India is ranked in 2021, it was ranked at 101. This ranking has gone up to about 120. And so India has the highest hunger rate in South Asia. If you look at Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan, their hunger rankings are way, way below the India's. In India's global hunger ranking with regards to BRICS, if you see Brazil 22, Russia, Brazil is 18, China is 29, South Africa is 55, but India is 100. So India has the biggest hunger problem. That's why 80 crore people get food, because India has hunger problem. But a lot of people, when this data came out, were attacking it, saying, oh, this is all fake data. But when the distribution of wealth data came, everybody was jumping around saying, oh, this is such great data, etc. Anyway, that is one thing I wanted to share. But I want to talk to you about this agriculture thing, which is very important. So while there might be a mini deal, India is having trouble because Donald Trump is insisting on imposing. Uh, uh, he wants basically access to India's agricultural market. He wants to sell soybeans. He wants to sell corn, maize. He wants to sell cheese. He wants to sell dairy products, milk, etc. All of that to India, and there are huge problems. Apparently, an average farm size in India is 1 acre, 1 hectare, and the average farm size in the United States is 187. It allows the United States to do agriculture at a corporate level, at a mass level, with lots of machinery. So the product that in America is generating is far more inexpensive compared to India's. So cheaper goods from the United States will enter India's market. Plus, America uses GMO. India doesn't want GMO to enter its agricultural, I guess, mainstream. So the fight is there, and the reason for that are these two charts. Let me just expand one of them, and that's so. If you look at India's GDP, uh, only 17%. This is the agriculture, the green one. So only 17.7% of India's GDP comes from agriculture. So more than half of India's GDP comes from services, IT services, restaurants, buses, transportation, tourism, government services, all of it. Anybody who is in an office not manufacturing anything concrete that you can give in somebody's hand uh, is services. Okay, hospitals, education, all of that is services. So about 55% of India's GDP comes from services, about 17.7 comes from agriculture, about 16.8% comes from manufacturing, which has gone down, by the way. India is talking a lot about Make in India, Bharat, Atmanirbhar Bharat, but manufacturing remains below 17%, has remained so for decades, and there's been no progress on this. And this 10.8% is other services such as mining, etc. So 17.7% of India's GDP comes from agriculture, but uh, if you look at its employment share, you will see that employment is 43.5% is coming from agriculture. So services, for example, provides only 28.5. So it 28 point, like one fourth of the employment is in services, but they are contributing double the share in GDP, which means their productivity is so much higher, and obviously salary is also going to be much higher. But nearly half of the Indian labor force, or well, 43.5% of India's labor force is employed in agriculture, even though they are contributing only 17.7% of the GDP. So the productivity levels are low. A lot of them are self-employed. Many of them are unpaid, employed, etc. So what is going to happen is if free products come in uh, from the US, then this employment is going to be affected and the profitability of Indian farmers will go down, and they are a major political force in the country. And already, if you remember, the farmers' protests that lasted more than a year created a lot of political problems for the ruling party, and they had to withdraw the amendments and reforms that they had recommended. So this is where the challenge is for India, and saying, look, we cannot open our agricultural and dairy products to the US. You will simply wipe us out, and this is in our national interest. We cannot allow that, and Donald Trump is just not budging. And for him, the deficit is a national security crisis, and America first. He's not interested in Indian farmers. So that is where I think India is going to struggle. And that's not just the problem for India. So India has now signed up free trade agreements with others. It has a free trade agreement with United Arab Emirates. It has one with UK, which recently signed just last month. India has some free trade negotiations going on with European Union and other places. So if India opens its agricultural market to the United States, then the rest of them are also going to say, what the heck? You need to give us access. We make great chocolates and cheese in Switzerland. So European Union will say, we want your access. Germans sometimes throw milk into the river because there's so much surplus milk production. They can simply dump it in the Indian market. Yes, you will get high quality milk for far less than what you do today, but what will happen to your dairy industry? So those are the two challenges that India is facing with regards to the trade agreement. So I think what's going to happen is there's going to be some small deal announced around 9th of July, or some interim report. By 1st of August, you will see some agreement, but I don't think that either India or the US is going to budge on agriculture. India is not going to, just can't afford to do it. So either the US backs off on agriculture and dairy products, or they have a problem with India. So we will see what happens going forward. So now I'm going to stop. And yes, congratulations to all of you. What a fabulous win for Indian Test cricket. It was nice to see the fast bowlers perform so well, Siraj and Akashdeep. Poor Akashdeep, they keep dropping him. And I think it's time for people to recognize his contributions. And so either he becomes the third seamer, or we have to do something about Mr. Bumrah. If he can't play all the matches, what's the point? And of course, Shubman Gill's batting performance. Oh my God, 430 runs. The only Indian batsman, actually the only batsman in the world to get a 250 and a 150 in the same Test match. So that was fantastic. So good news. Congratulations to all of you. And now let's head towards. Give me 1 second, and I need to stop this. Okay. So I want to now talk to you about your comments and questions. Vardhan, yeah, we did talk about it. I don't believe in this data. The data is very problematic. I don't know why the World Bank will release a report like that, where so many countries' data is from 2014, 2015, 2016. Very few countries' data is as new. I saw only two or three countries with 2023 data, which is already 2 years and 1.5 years old. India's data itself is 2022. There have been, 2.5 years have passed. India has grown significantly in those 2.5 years. Maybe India's situation is much better now than it was in 2022. So I really don't know what it is. The only thing that I can understand is that they hired consultants to do this report, and those consultants took a lot of money and took a lot of time and delayed. There's a lot of rubbish like that sometimes goes on. So that's what I think is happening. And as for your talk about rich people, I think you saw from my pyramid, wealth pyramid, as to how, yes, there are very rich people in India, but there are only 15, 16 million of them who have a net worth of more than $100,000. And then 1.35 billion people are really not very well off. Anit Kumar, India breaches. Yes, I just spoke about it. Yes, Ham Saeed. Yes, I think mini deal will be there, excluding the agricultural sector. But how is Donald Trump going to retaliate to that? Or if he makes a concession on the agriculture, what is he going to do? We will see. Uh, that is old data. I talked about it actually since 2000 and 171 from absolute poverty, Ham Said, but 450 million people moved out of poverty in the last. When I was talking about India, China, if you notice, in the last 35 years, both India and China have moved 1.25 billion people out of poverty. So that is one of the biggest miracles of globalization. If there's one thing that globalization did from 1991 to 2025 is to allow 1.25 billion, 800 million Chinese and 450 million Indians to come out of absolute poverty, which would be living on less than $1 a day. Uh, Abdullah, sir, in India, people can't be able to buy luxury things like Arabs and West. Majority of Indians are hardly able to manage monthly livelihood. I think this ranking is being done. No, see, the thing is, you don't understand. It's a measure of equality. It's not a measure of well-off. So, for example, you could say that there are 100 people in my country and 95 people are all starving. That's equality. Only 4 or 5 people get food. 95% of them are starving. That is also equality. So Gini index will rate you very high. If you have 100 people in your country and 95 of them are all starving, they'll say, wow, what a great country. What equality is there? Nearly everybody is at the same level. So that's all it says, Gini index. It doesn't say that you are better educated. It doesn't say you have healthcare. It doesn't say you are safe. It doesn't say that you're getting nutrition. Just saying that you are at the same level as other people in your country. That's why it's, you always see, you can't measure everything with just one or two indicators. So the most comprehensive one is HDI, Human Development Index, which measures education, life expectancy, and quality of life in terms of economic terms. So that's why that is a much better index. Maybe I'll do a show in the next couple of weeks on just Human Development Index. It was developed by a Pakistani and Amartya Sen. So two economists from South Asia developed the Human Development Index to let people know that, look, we may have a low per capita, but we are educated. We may have a low per capita, but we have high life expectancy. We are happy. So per capita GDP does not fully measure the quality of life. So we should have a much better education. So because education does contribute to better health, better life, more happiness. Uh, I haven't seen data for Pakistan, but Pakistan, the ranking for Pakistan is around 29th, I think, on income inequality. So it's in the same category as moderate unequal. Uh, yeah, I know. Khan sir, I know he's very famous. Khan sir went on ANI and did a devastating critique of the government's policies during Operation Sindoor. His name is, I think, Faisal Khan, I think his name is. Anyway, Srikant Ramani, the world growth has been mostly uneven with most of the gains to the top. That is true. That is so true, uh, Ramani. And uh, one of the contributions of globalization, it's very interesting. It has not only lifted people out of poverty, but made some people very rich. I mean, look at Elon Musk at $350 billion. In not another 5 6 years we may have a trillionaire. It's unbelievable how rich and wealthy he is. And then there are other people who have lots and lots of money. So there are lots of people with lots of money, like in India. There are about 14 million people who are close to $1 million, so millionaires in dollars. 15 million is close to more than the population of many countries. It's like saying we have a country bigger than Netherlands inside India where everybody is a millionaire in dollars. That's pretty rich, right? Yes, they are all distributed all over the country. Many of them are leaving the country. Many of them live abroad, but are Indian citizens. So many of them have moved to Dubai to just live there and work from there. Increasingly, I meet IT people who work in India but live in, what do you call, Dubai. So that is happening. But still, there are 15 million millionaires in India. So their crore millionaires, यानी करोड़पति से भी ज़्यादा, more they're very rich. Uh, I don't know about black money that is measured. That's what the remember demonetization was supposed to take care of that, right? So, Mr. Sarkar, we have no hope left. We Indian youth are suffering from employment, economic crisis. Unemployment among the youth is terrible, not only India, but also China. It's getting bad even in the US. Now, with AI, it is going to get even worse. So, for example, Microsoft just announced 9,000 people have been fired, and they shut down the office in Pakistan itself. So, why is Microsoft doing this? Because I was talking to a friend of mine who does he's a big shot entrepreneur in computers from Hyderabad, and he was saying, Muqtedar, AI has changed so much that Microsoft Copilot helps him do 50-60% of his coding is done by Microsoft Copilot. So he works every day from in the morning, gets up early in the morning and works for several hours. And he said that now that 50-60% of my routine, boring stuff, which is part of the coding stuff, is now taken care of by Copilot. And so he is able to focus on more interesting, more creative, and more satisfying, and maybe even more profitable workload. If you have noticed that I'm using a lot of graphs these days, it saves me a lot of time. Yeah, last year when I used to generate graphs, I used to put the whole data. I had to cut and paste the data into Excel sheet and then generate. And I used to keep forgetting how to use it, and then I have to call my brother and say, "How the hell do I generate?" Or call my son and says, "Oh, you have to get this pivot or whatever it is." So now that has saved. Now I just have to verify that the data is accurate. But either Claude or Grok or Chat GPT generate good graphs. I just discovered that Claude cannot generate maps. So I'm giving a talk day after tomorrow about China's territorial disputes all over the East Asia, East China Sea, South China Sea. And I asked Claude to generate a map for me, and I gave the data to it. I said, look, disputes with this dispute with Vietnam, this, and I entered all of it and said, now just put them on the map so that I can show it to you. It can't do it, but Grok was able to do it, and Chat GPT was. But if I was to do that, it would be such a big headache. I would have to take a map and then put it in PowerPoint. Like, I'm not very skilled in everything, so I would put that in PowerPoint and then use the marker in PowerPoint to draw circles with the red pen. Oh, it would definitely an hour or so just to show the claim of Ladakh and Arunachal Pradesh on India's map, take India's map, put it in PowerPoint, then go to draw and say, here, here, here. Now, all of that within a second, and Grok is doing. So it's increasing my productivity, which means a lot of educated people are going to get fired and they are going to get jobs. Lots of people have been telling me, Dr. Khan, why don't you hire somebody to help you increase your shows, make clips of it and put it on Instagram, shorts, etc. And I don't want to lose control because I don't want people saying things or misrepresenting me. And plus, I don't have the money to pay. I don't make much money from YouTube to be able to hire a graduate student to work for 20 hours in the US would cost me $30,000 minimum, and then lots of legal headaches. So I didn't. But now there's something called Opus something. I just saw a software. I haven't yet subscribed to it, but it is going to do it. What it's going to do is replace many assistants who work on many of these YouTube channels in India. Eventually, they will be slow to adapt, but by next year, I think a lot of people are going to lose their jobs who have been helping big YouTube channels with cutting, clipping, and putting stuff on in shorts, on X, on Instagram, etc. So yes, you have to be ahead of the curve. There's more pressure on you to be creative and educated. Otherwise, you will remain unemployed. So right now in India, if you don't have a college degree, which means you are just metric pass, your unemployment rate is only 5%. But if you are with a college degree and you live in a village, then your unemployment rate is 13%. But if you have a college degree, engineering, whatever, doesn't matter, and you live in the city, your unemployment rate is 17 to 20%. In China, it is over 21% for educated people who urban unemployed youth. This is the next big crisis. This is everywhere in the world. Educated, and if you do bullshit kind of education where you go and study history, and I'm sorry to say, uh, your own identity, like in my university, people come and study African studies, Asian studies, this and that. Fine, you know a lot about yourself, but what can you contribute to my company? And that way, the productivity related education, which is associated with STEM, even that is going to be impacted by artificial intelligence, robotics, etc. Donald Trump wants to bring manufacturing jobs to the US. They're not coming back. He will bring manufacturing back, maybe. But that manufacturing will be done by robots, controlled by AI, not by people. That much I can guarantee you. And I don't know why somebody doesn't tell it to him on his face. Anyway, I got carried away by that question, but thank you for that important question. Vardhan, India does bilateral trade agreements and avoids multilateral trade agreements to avoid China. India doesn't want to be in a situation where it has a free trade arrangement with China. That's why India did not join Regional Cooperation for Economic Development, RCEP. That is the biggest free trade agreement India did not join. But bilateral trade agreement, India thinks it can protect some of its. Basically, India is trying to protect its agriculture and dairy products, and also is trying to protect some of its service industry, because, like you can see, 54% of the GDP comes from services. So if you open the service industry for foreigners, that's the non-trade barriers that Donald Trump is very upset about. That it's difficult for American services to come and open shop in India. So, for example, what if American universities all came and opened universities in India for profit, and you'll be paying them and they will be sending profits back home? We don't allow that. Like in Dubai and UAE and Qatar, there are many American universities which have campuses there. So things like that. Yeah, Pakistan HDI is 160. It's very behind. India and Bangladesh are 130 on human development ranking. and they are 0.64, I think. And yes, because Ahmad Ghulam, India, Pakistan's literacy levels are very low even now. And the urban rural divide is much more profound in Pakistan. So there are highly educated people in Lahore and Karachi and Islamabad, but the moment you go out of cities, then suddenly it really, really falls down, and that is affected. Uh, oh, it's interesting that even Bihar, which has a lower per capita income than Pakistan, has a higher development index than Pakistan. That's interesting. Sir, can you please stop including Uttar Pradesh in North India? Please search Zonal Councils India. You will know what is North, South, Central, East India. North is as rich as South. All right, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about Haryana, Himachal Pradesh. Should I include Kashmir in North India? And Vardhan, okay, I will try to keep. Let's call the UP, Bihar. What are they called? Bhikari or I don't want to use insulting terms. I don't know. The Hindi belt, is that fine with you, or we just call it uh, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and Jharkhand? These are the three, the biggest, and they are problematic not because they are poor. They're also problematic because they are huge population, which means they bring the whole thing down. If they were small states, then nobody would care. So even though Sikkim is so rich, the Sikkim's per capita income is close to $7,000. Goa is, I think, $9,000 per capita income. It's a pretty rich place. So in India, having 9,000 per capita means you must have a very high quality of life. But they are small states, so they don't contribute to increasing the average of the whole country. Whereas UP, such huge population, Bihar with such huge population, Jharkhand, all of these with very poor literacy levels, they bring India down. Bimaru, yes, Vardhan, that's the word. I didn't want to use that, Bimaru state, but that is what unfortunately they are. um, what is the question, Nate Rohan? What do you think about BRICS statement regarding Trump's tariffs? BRICS, BRICS tonight. I'm going to do a preview of the summit because India has a great chance. Modi has a chance to really shine as a leader of the other world, non-Western world, because Putin and Xi Jinping both are not coming to BRICS in Brazil, and then Modi is going to do not only is he the main leader from BRICS countries, but he's also going to do a state visit to Brazil. So he has a great chance to shine, and let's see what he says. And with regards to the future of BRICS, with regards to de-dollarization, with regards to tariffs, lots of other things. So come back tonight. I will be doing a live show uh, uh, tonight on my India channel, which is very easy. Global Khanversations 2025. I will be doing that in Hindi. So please come to that. Uh, Al Tamash Nadeem, Sikhs are rich, but Punjab per capita still. Uh, Punjab is one of the sad stories of India. So if you look at Punjab, it has steadily declined in per capita, in industrial investing. It is a very rich state, agriculturally well done, industrially. You know, a long time ago, all our cricketing goods used to come from Patiala, which was in Punjab. So with Chandigarh, one of the best designed city, was the capital of Punjab. So Punjab was well off, but in the last 10, 15 years, it has lost a lot of population. Lots of people moved to Canada, to Australia. So Punjab is a sad story, one of the sad story. It's still okay, but it is going down. If you look at the trend line, it is bad for Punjab. Haryana on top, Himachal Pradesh are doing very well in the north, and Delhi. Delhi state is obviously rich and well off. It is as good as Telangana. I was also looking at salaries for IT people in India, and the highest are in Bangalore, followed by Delhi and Hyderabad. So So Delhi is also doing very well. A lot of corporate in Noida and all of those areas, there are a lot of corporate sectors. So yes, northern India is doing fine. Uh, yeah. I don't know, Ram Prakash. What do you want? I'm Professor Khan. Call me Professor Khan. That should be fine. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching Conversations. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, press the bell icon, and don't forget to share this video with your socio-political network. Uh, Next BRICS summit, no, the Quad summit, Roshan, is in India, September or October. Donald Trump is expected to come. The current BRICS summit starts this weekend in Brazil, and we will see where it goes from there. So we'll talk later. Take care. Bye.